Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the third annual Fiji Geo-spatial Information Conference and also to the launch of the VanuaGIS, which has been a culmination of many years of hard work.
I'm delighted to be opening the third National Geospatial Information Management Conference today, a year after the Honourable Prime Minister stood before us, I think, to launch the second conference. And since then, of course, ladies and gentlemen, Fiji has been struck by Cyclone Winston, the biggest cyclone ever to make landfall in the southern hemisphere. And almost everything we do as a nation, and especially at a planning level, must be to build our resilience for the next cyclone and those that follow. Because we know that they're coming and we must prepare for them. This imperative, ladies and gentlemen, is reflected in the theme for this year's conference, Mapping the Disaster. In other words, collating and using geospatial information to the best possible advantage to help protect our nation and our people. And I want to start by urging, ladies and gentlemen, the Geospatial Information Management Council to redouble its efforts to collect the data we need in a timely and an efficient manner. The one thing that Tropical Cyclone Winston has taught us is the urgency of the task before us. Now, Fiji cannot afford, ladies and gentlemen, to drag its heels in this particular area. And I urge all of our stakeholders to step up their engagement and use the technology that is now available to us to put Fiji in the best possible position to weather future events. In this regard, I want to thank the Fijian Elections Office for the data its officials are handing over today, where all of its polling stations in the nation's schools are located. And these schools, of course, are also evacuation centers in the event of natural disaster and are critical to the well-being and safety of our people. So thank you very much to the Elections Office. We now have access to digital mapping of all of the nation's evacuation centers and can locate them in an instant. All this data, ladies and gentlemen, will be entered into the national system that we are launching today called the VanuaGIS, or Geospatial Information System. It is something that is going to change the way we access information and dramatically boost the quality of our strategic planning and our decision making. Now, I'll explain the VanuaGIS in detail in a moment, but first let me briefly tell you how it all fits into the big picture. Our overall strategy for dealing with the threat that climate change is now posing to our way of life in Fiji. As you all know, Fiji is now taking a lead role in the world through our presidency of COP23 to persuade the industrial nations to reduce the carbon emissions that are causing global warming and that are leading to the extreme weather events and rising sea levels that threaten Fiji and other small island developing states and low-lying areas of the planet. Part of our strategy is to persuade the global community for a more radical program to curb the carbon emissions. Part of it is to get finance, and we need in form of grants for climate adaptation, to build our resilience and to be in a better position to withstand cyclones and other extreme weather events and hold back the rising seas. And part of it is to get a much better grasp of the threat we face and what we need to do to contain it by obtaining the best and most up-to-date information and giving our officials access to that information as quickly and as effectively as possible. Now that's where the VanuaGIS Web Portal comes in, and let me explain it in some detail. Because like most technology, it isn't easily understood unless you're an expert on such matters, which I certainly am not, but this is how it's been explained to me. The VanuaGIS Web Portal is a platform for the sharing of data sets, the sets of information that various organizations collect and use to keep in paper form. Now all that information can be assembled digitally in one web portal and be accessed by authorized users, and with a click of a button it will enable organizations to share the data, enable everyone to see the big picture. and as such, to respond more effectively, and essentially make it easier for all the components of our nation to function as a better team. The VanuaGIS, ladies and gentlemen, is the first of its kind in Fiji, integrating data sets from different organizations such as the Elections Office and bringing it all together in one place, one platform. It's a tool that is long overdue because data sharing has been one of the biggest challenges in Fiji. And never before has it been so important for us to be able to gather information and use it quickly and effectively. But now we have that tool, and it is going to make a huge difference when it comes to addressing a range of challenges, including our disaster preparedness. On a smaller scale, we were able to use GIS technology in the immediate aftermath of Tropical Cyclone Winston to track relief assistance at the NDMO. And we've been able to map those coastal communities that are most vulnerable to rising sea levels and start planning for their relocation. But with the launch of the VanuaGIS, we are taking the use of this particular technology to another level. The information that is currently kept in individual agencies can all be entered into the VanuaGIS, whether it is from the Ministry of Rural and Maritime Disaster Management, whether it's the Fiji Roads Authority, whether it's the Water Authority and Ministry of Lands and Mineral Resources, or the Ministry of Economy, or even the Office of the Prime Minister. It can be shared to improve the quality of our decision making because we have the necessary facts immediately to hand. The VanuaGIS is a larger version of the sugarcane industry Web GIS portal that was launched in Lautoka in November 2014, I think by the Honorable Prime Minister. Although that portal was only for the sugar industry, it has dramatically improved the quality of the data available to the industry and the speed with which it can be accessed. And we're confident that the same will happen with VanuaGIS, although on a much greater scale. Now, I've spoken about how it's going to improve our disaster management response, but let me give you two further examples of what this particular system can do. We can get a Fiji Sugar Corporation map of active plantations and overlay it with a map of the TLTB leases to tell us which leases are about to expire and inform tenants well in advance. We can access the data from the Fiji Roads Authority and the Fiji Water Authority on which roads and which water pipes need to be fixed in the next 2 years and get that work done at the same time. So this is a huge benefit to the government in improving our ability to plan across a broad front. We are also opening the VanuaGIS to the private sector, and the information we collate will also be available as a commercial product to private entities that will be able to access the portal with the payment of a fee. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know that many of you in this room are experts, and I hope you'll forgive me if I've told you things that you already know. But I'm very much aware of the wider audience beyond this room who aren't experts. And I hope I've given them, through the media, a better idea of why geospatial information is now so important to our national development and the lives of every Fijian. I wish you all success in today's conference, and now I have the great pleasure to officially launch the VanuaGIS Web Portal. And thank you very much.